Hello, happy dwellers, and welcome to the Happy Dwelling Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here with me today, and I hope you have been well and are creating those great habits so your dwelling place can be a happy one.
Y'all, hi. It's been a minute since I've been on here, and so I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling oh, this is new again because my life has been doing a lot, and so I took a break. First, I want to apologize about my nasally sound. My little person gave me this wonderful cold, I guess you can say, and I've been blowing my nose for a good minute now, and it's still not going away, but don't worry, we're working on it. All right, got the ginger tea, got all the stuff, the sea moss, I got vitamin D. I've been on it, but for whatever reason it's just taking my body a little bit longer this time around to get rid of whatever this is. So please excuse my nasal sound. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much. But like I was saying before, I am so happy to be back. I am happy to be in front of this microphone chatting about health and nutrition and all the things that we will be talking about. And I just want to make a confession before I begin. I confess that this is my fourth time recording this episode. I messed it up the first time in the recording session, and then the other two times I messed up when I edited. I clipped out too much of the clip, and then it just didn't work out well. So here I am again, and hopefully this time around we get it, we got it, and it's good enough to release. All right. Like I said, it's so good to be back, and today I want to talk about something that I really don't hear much people discussing, and that's because I guess most podcasts or most lectures or whatever you want to call it, they combine foods, they combine topics. It's not just one thing in isolation, so you don't demonize something or glorify something. So I wanted to do something a little different just because I feel like this is an important topic for people to dive into, because when people think of something healthy for breakfast, one of the top things that come to their mind, if they're American, is probably oatmeal. And that's what today's topic is about, oatmeal. And I'm not here to demonize it, like I said, or glorify it either. I kind of just want to tell you my experience. I want to tell you what the research says. I want to tell you, some things that you should be aware of. And then I want you to make a decision at the end of it, because that's what we're here for. We're providing all things surrounding the topic, all good, all bad, all everything in between, so that you can decide if this is something that you want to continue to use, pursue. I don't know what the word is, but you know what I mean. If this is something you want to have regularly in your diet. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction about my relationship with oatmeal, okay? I was the child that if I heard something was healthy, I would go to the extreme and do it or not do it. For example, salad dressing. I was told in church one time that salad dressing is not healthy. So guess what I did? I stopped eating salad dressing, period. And I remember they used to give us these bowls of the arugula mixed with the red leaf lettuce and all the really gross salad. And I would just take it like a champ. You know what I mean? Nothing to mask the taste. I would just eat it, scarf it down, because I was being healthy and I wasn't adding salad dressing to my salad. Well, something similar happened to me when it came to oatmeal. I heard through the grapevine that oatmeal was good for you. So guess what I did? Just about every day from the ages of 14 to the ages of probably 25, I had oatmeal every morning. And of course, oatmeal is variable. You can add things, you can make savory, you can do overnight oats. There's a lot of different things you could do with it. But for the longest, when I was a broke college student and a broke high school student, I didn't do much to it. So we would add raisins, maybe craisins if we had the budget for that. We put some cinnamon. I was using water. it was a lot that was wrong with my oatmeal combination until I got a little older and, I had some jobs and didn't have to penny pinch as much. But it was a lifestyle for me. Okay. I was committed. In my dorm room, I would take the quick oats, put some water in it, put it in the microwave, add my little 1, 2, and then a drizzle of honey. Eat that joint before my 8 o'clock class. You know what I mean? Like, that was my lifestyle. And, I matured and got a little bit more fancy with the fresh berries and the coconut flakes. And I'm not really into savory oatmeal, so I never really did that per se. But I even got really creative one time, added turmeric into it, turmeric and blueberries. Like, I do it. I've done it. Anything on the sweeter side or like the fruity side, I have done it to oatmeal. And then it didn't help that when I had my baby, she liked oatmeal too. And she was a really picky eater. And it's like, okay, what am I feeding you today? And more often than not, like, I would try to like switch it up. So make it like every other day, every third day or whatever. She would have that and she would eat it. And I was happy because I want my child to eat. Now we don't really have that much of a problem with her eating. She eats everything and anything under the sun. But back then it was like, I don't know what to do. So oatmeal has been in my life and is still in my life heavy. But I do have some personal problems to pick with oatmeal. Okay. So first off, I noticed once I started listening to my body and not just listening to what other people say about what it is that I should and shouldn't be eating, I noticed that oatmeal makes me hangry. Like, the monster hangry. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like somebody better feed me like right now or we throwing hands type of hangry. And I was like, this is weird. This is strange because literally all my textbooks tell me that this is a complex carbohydrate. And the difference between a simple carbohydrate and a complex carbohydrate is that a simple carbohydrate is supposed to be released into your bloodstream relatively quickly, and it raises your blood sugar, and then there's a big crash once everything kind of is absorbed. But complex carbohydrates aren't like that. They slowly release the carbohydrates into your bloodstream, which means that your blood sugar isn't raised very fast, which means that your blood sugar is relatively stable and you should be good for eating. You shouldn't really be hungry for the next several hours. But that wasn't the case with me. So what was happening? So because I thought I was a crazy person, I went and I asked some people in my life, mainly my family members. And I asked them and I was like, does oatmeal make you hungry like 2 hours later? And to my surprise, everybody was like, yeah, it does that to me too. So I was like, all right, maybe this is genetic. Maybe my family has just some super awesome gene that makes us absorb oatmeal faster and makes us hungry sooner. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on here. So I asked my friends and they just said the same thing. Okay, so now I'm seeing a pattern. Let me go into the research and see what that says. So that's what I did. Now let me pause for a second before I get into the research on the hunger and satiety of oatmeal. I just want to rewind it a bit and I want to go back to the properties of oatmeal that are beneficial. Because I feel like most of this podcast is me bashing it. So I just want to kind of like throw in a little sprinkle of like the positives, because it's not crazy that people are saying that this is so good for you. It actually does have a lot of beneficial properties, and it actually does do a lot of good things. So let's rewind a little bit, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the good things that oatmeal offers. So it's a heart healthy breakfast. Okay. A study from like 1902 found that it's good for type 2 diabetics. And since then, it's kind of had that reputation for a long time, because we are very, very far past 1902. Let's see. It's supposed to make you feel full and satisfied. Like I said, it's a complex carbohydrate. But on a more like micronutrient level, oatmeal is a good source of fiber, especially prebiotic fiber. It has B vitamins, iron, magnesium, selenium, and the American Heart Association certifies it as a heart healthy food. So it's got their stamp of approval. Cool. Now that we got that out of the way, I found a study from the journal Nutrients titled "Consuming 2 eggs per day as compared to an oatmeal breakfast decreases plasma ghrelin while maintaining the LDL-HDL ratio." Okay, that's a lot. So let's unpack that. So there was a study where they compared two groups. One ate 2 eggs per day, and one ate a packet of oatmeal breakfast, plain. Okay, and what it's saying here is that it decreased the blood ghrelin levels while maintaining the LDL-HDL ratio. So what is ghrelin? Let's back up. Ghrelin is the hormone that your body releases to tell you that you're hungry. Some people, like when I was in college, I would make this little sound for ghrelin, like ghrelin, because it's like that little monster that's like, feed me right now. Okay. So ghrelin works really hard to kind of make sure that your blood sugar is steady, maintained very well by telling your body that you're hungry. The LDL-HDL ratio is something that people in the medical field look to determine, I guess, the health of your fats. So, or cholesterol rather. LDL is considered to be the bad, and I'm putting air quotes up right now. It's the bad cholesterol, and HDL is considered to be the good cholesterol. So people in the medical field or experts want you to have a low LDL and a higher HDL. And this has been seen to be important in making sure you have good cholesterol, good healthy heart. And like we said earlier, oatmeal has been stamped as a heart healthy food by the American Heart Association. So it's one of those things that people also promote, I guess, to lower cholesterol as well. So what we have found in the medical field, though, is that the ratio of the LDL to the HDL matters, and not so much in isolation, like just your LDL or just your HDL. So the ratio of it matters. And basically in this study, it's saying that by having the 2 eggs are considered to be a high cholesterol food. It makes your cholesterol up, yada yada. That's what they say. This study is saying that by having 2 eggs a day instead of the oatmeal, it maintained the LDL-HDL ratio. So even though it possibly made them individually go up, the ratio of it remained relatively the same. So that's awesome. And in this study, they also showed that having the high protein breakfast, the 2 eggs, it reduced the ghrelin and improved glucagon. So that's awesome. So like we said before, ghrelin is that little hormone that's telling you that you're hungry. So you're saying that if I ate 2 eggs a day instead of eating the oatmeal, that I'm not going to be as hungry. That's pretty much what it's saying. The hormone that tells you that you're hungry isn't going to be as high as what you see when you just eat oatmeal. And glucagon. It says it improves glucagon. What is glucagon? Before I explain glucagon, I'm going to explain insulin. So insulin and glucagon are 2 hormones that are released from your pancreas that help to maintain blood sugar. Insulin is a lot more commonly known. It is what, a lot of diabetics take to reduce their blood sugar. Insulin works to get your cells in your body to take up the excess blood sugar in your blood. So if you got like sugar like floating around there, it'll be like, all right, you need to take this up now. It pretty much, it's like a messenger that goes and tells all your cells that you got to clean this up. The sugar is all over here. Like, come on. Glucagon is the opposite of insulin. So they both help to maintain blood sugar. It has to be in a certain range for your body to be happy. So what happens if you don't have enough blood sugar? Well, glucagon will go and hit up your liver, and it'll hit up your fat cells, and it will tell them, hey, you've got to release some sugar to maintain this blood sugar. That sounds like it's a little like not good, I guess. It kind of sounds like it isn't good, but in reality, a balance between the two is really what you want. So for you to constantly always be in an insulin dependent state is not good. For you to constantly be in a glucagon dependent state is not good either. But because our society generally has more than enough carbohydrates, most of us are in an insulin dominant state of being. And because of that, if glucagon can take over for a period of time, that is great news to hear. So basically, this study is saying that oatmeal doesn't really work to satisfy you. Exactly why that is, I don't know, because like I said, it's a complex carbohydrate. But we're seeing that this is not an uncommon thing, that oatmeal does not satisfy people like it says it does. So even though, we're told that this is the best thing since sliced cheese, best type of breakfast, it's important for us to diversify what we eat and not to get stuck on like one thing as this is healthy, this is what I'm going to do, that's all I'm going to do. The next thing I want to talk about oatmeal is oatmeal and glyphosate. Okay, so now I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but it's not a rabbit hole if it's true, right? So I'm going to break it down. So what is glyphosate? Anytime you hear that word, I want you to associate it with a carcinogenic weed killer. All right, so it has been shown to be carcinogenic, and it generally works as a weed killer, but it also has a very long half-life, and it gets into soil, waterways, it destroys earthworms, it destroys the integrity of the soil's microbiome, and it sticks around for a long time with it. It's a very, very long half-life. So that's a very short synopsis of what glyphosate is. And when I say oatmeal has glyphosate, I'm saying that this is something that is commonly sprayed on oatmeal. So a lot of oatmeal that we see on the shelves today use glyphosate as a pre-harvesting ingredient. So in order for you to harvest oatmeal, it has to dry a certain amount. And if people can speed up that process, they do. So glyphosate works to dry it as a pre-harvesting ingredient to make it so that they can be harvested. The oats can be harvested sooner than they would have if they had to dry on their own. And it's so commonly used that it has been found in a lot of organic ones, which quote unquote shouldn't be using it. It gets in the waterways. Like I said, this thing is like, it's a big problem and it's everywhere. And for whatever reason, oatmeal is one of the bigger carriers of this carcinogen. I went to the environmental working group, which if you don't know them, you should get a little bit familiar with them. They're pretty awesome. They do a lot of the research that I don't feel like doing. So that makes them awesome. So pretty much what they do is sometimes they run their own tests on things. Not only do they bring you the literature that is currently out there, they will actually run their own tests and let you know the results of these tests. So some of the tests that have been done, a lot of the tests that they have done have come back and show that they have some glyphosate in them, whether the oat product is organic or not. They have a list of the ingredients that had the most to the ones that had the least. And it was actually pretty alarming to me. And it made me feel like, man, I really should just stay away from this food product just because I don't want glyphosate in my body or in my child's body. That's not cool. Like, you wouldn't volunteer to put a poison in your body, but here it is that they are currently spraying the food that we eat with things that are literally poisonous, and over time will do something to your body. Even if it's small amounts, like small amounts of anything bad, it builds up as you go on. And, you know, we're seeing these high rates of cancer and high rates of diseases and things of that nature. And like, no one's putting two and two together. Unfortunately, like, a lot of the systems that we have in place currently are the same systems that are destroying us. And the point of this is to kind of just make you all aware of what's going on. I believe that they do this obviously for profit reasons, because if they can speed up the time, if they can get harvested, you know, that's more money in their pocket. But it doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean that it should be done. It doesn't mean that we should support these companies that are continuing to do these type of things. Okay, so now that we have tore down oatmeal to the highest level, what can we do about it? I have a couple of tips for some better breakfast options if you choose to stay away from oatmeal, or if you just want to diversify what it is that you're eating. So, number one, dinner for breakfast. A lot of cultures eat their heaviest meal at the beginning of the day and then the lightest meal towards the end of the day. For whatever reason, America does things backwards. But if you have the time or the energy to prepare a dinner for breakfast, I think that that is a awesome idea, because now instead of you just eating one type of food, oats and by themselves are pretty much carbohydrates. They have small amounts of protein, I guess fat, not really, but you can add fat in it. You know, you're getting a more mixed meal. So that does also help to maintain your blood sugar and just keep you overall satisfied throughout, you know, the next several hours. Another option, and this one isn't really for everyone because I noticed that it also doesn't really fill you. You can try some smoothies, but if you have the smoothies, make sure you add some type of protein, some type of nut butter, something that will add to it that'll make it like more sustainable and help it to last a little bit longer. Add some chia seeds, some walnuts, whatever. Do what you gotta do. You can even put it in a bowl so you can still like chew other foods and stuff like that alongside it. Or you can just kind of have the smoothie multiple times, because that's sometimes what I do too. If I know I'm eating something light, whether it be soup, a salad, or a smoothie, I'll have it, and then when I'm hungry, I'll have it again. Just make a whole bunch of it, just so that you're making sure you're getting enough calories. Another option, and I guess you could have guessed this one from the study that I gave y'all earlier, is eggs or omelets, or even better, if you can eat some eggs and you can add some vegetables in it, like, you are doing great. Okay, you're doing awesome, and keep up the good work. Omelets with vegetables will provide you a bunch of micronutrients as well as protein, and it will lead you to having less of that ghrelin as opposed to more with a more high carbohydrate breakfast. Now, I don't know about you, but after everything I went through today and I told you about today, I personally don't want to hit up oatmeal as much. Like I said, and I'll put it in the show notes, the environmental working group link to like their rankings of like what had the most glyphosate and what had the least glyphosate. I personally don't want to consume that. I know nothing is perfect in our food chain, and unless I'm like growing everything off of my own land and making it myself, like I'm not gonna eliminate all the things, but what I can do is I can limit some of the things, and I can, like I said, diversify my palate. I don't have to eat oatmeal every day. That does not have to be my reality. There are other options, and there's a lot of other great options. Oh, another option that I forgot to mention is teff. Teff is the world's smallest grain. I love it. It's a little bit expensive, but if you can afford it, definitely give it a try. It's an Ethiopian grain. It has 8 out of the 9 essential amino acids, so that's dope. It's higher in protein than most other grains, and it tastes yummy. I put some dates in there and some fresh fruits or yogurt or whatever. It's yummy. And if you want me to talk more about teff, I could totally I'll add it to my Instagram or something like that. I'll just go on a rant about teff. But like I said, there are other options out here. And one cool thing about being made aware of something is that you can make the difference. You can change. You can be an advocate for stopping these companies from using these things. Like, the more people that are made aware, the better it is. I'm going to reevaluate my breakfast selections. I'm going to do my best to change it up and not stick to pretty much the same thing all the time. I'm going to try to make sure I have a higher protein breakfast so that I am satisfied for a longer period of time. And I'm going to also do the same thing for my daughter. I hope this podcast was helpful to you. And if it was, definitely go ahead and subscribe. You can leave a like or a comment if you're on YouTube. And thank you so much for listening.
That is all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for spending your time listening to me. I hope you join me in the next one to learn more about health topics that can help you improve your life so you can be happy in your dwelling place. Love y'all.